All right. How's everyone doing today? If you can, I'm a couple minutes early. We'll probably have a huge flood in 2 minutes. If you can hear me or see me, there's a little chat bar. Give me a comment in the chat bar. Let me know how you're doing today. Let me know one thing you're grateful for, how you're feeling, where in the world you're coming from, and I will just get organized here. I'm grateful for exercise. I just got back from the gym a few minutes ago, and I'm grateful I can exercise. I'm grateful I do exercise, and I'm grateful for my health. Let me know one thing you're grateful for if you're just joining. We'll just wait a few minutes. I started a little early today, so I think we'll get a flood. Let's see. How are you doing today, Keisha? Let's see. Today's theme, I'll put it in anyways, just because I guess people are listening to the recording afterwards too. So I'll put this in the chat here. I will pull up my screen share and I'll get all the text sorted out right now. Let's see. All right. You should be able to see this. Now let me get my chat bar back up. Let's see. All right. Can anyone see this? We'll start getting people coming in. We should start getting people coming in now. All right. This topic really changed my life in so many ways. So I'm excited about this one. This is, let's see, here's the chat. This is going to be some good stuff. So we'll have some people coming on while we're in our little meditation. I just want to take a second and take a couple deep breaths in and out. If you can close your eyes, please go ahead and do so. If you cannot, you're driving, walking, just focus on your breath and see if you can get back into a little rhythm with your own breath right now. And as that begins to happen, just taking inventory of your body. Is it calm? Is it tense? If you find any tense places, maybe in your toes, gripping your toes, balls of your feet, just consciously letting them go, maybe wiggling your toes a little, letting your fingers go. Maybe you clench your butt or your jaw. My jaw is where I do it a lot. And when you become aware of it, just breathe into that spot. Maybe it's your neck, your shoulders, maybe it's your eyebrows. Some people do their eyebrows like that. Maybe it's top of your head, just letting it all go as you breathe in and out. Now I want to do a cycle of breathing in for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds, breathing out for 5 seconds, holding for 5 seconds. So it'll be breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, holding it. And if you can't hold for 5, just hold for a second or two. No need to overextend yourself. But the point of this is at the rise of our inhale and the rise of our exhale, we stop so we can just feel the energy, feel our body, feel the sensation, feel the present moment. So I'll do the first breath or two with you, and then you can just silently count at your own pace. So we'll breathe in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, hold 4, 3, 2, 1, inhale 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, holding 4, 3, 2, 1, exhale. Now I'll go silent and you'll just move in a cadence of 5. Anytime you get lost, just moving back to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we'll just do one final cycle of breath. Inhaling for 5, holding for 5, exhale for 5, holding for 5. And that'll be our last cycle. You can move at your own pace. And when you feel complete, you can just kind of check in with your body, see how you're feeling, bring your attention to your hands, say, is there life in my hands right now? Is there life in my hands? And see if you can feel the energy in your hand or your foot. Just feeling very present as you breathe in and out. And whenever you feel like you've gotten in touch with that energy, you can slowly open and close your eyes a couple times, but wait until you get in touch with that energy. Is there life in my hands? Is there energy in my hands? Is there energy in my foot? Can I bring my awareness to that point and feel the energy? And when you feel that, just flutter your eyes open and closed a couple times, maybe close them again for a minute. In Buddhism, they call it having light eyes to the world when you come out of your meditation, so you don't get too sucked into the light. And so just fluttering them open and closed, moving your shoulders up and back, and just seeing how you feel now. So feeling awake, feeling alert, just rolling your shoulders, taking some nice breaths, putting a smile on your face, maybe blinking a few times till you feel totally acclimated. And that cycle of 5 breathing is a very easy to do technique. Now, I'm going to try to blaze through today because I have a lot in this workbook. If this is your first time on, though, I want to welcome you for joining. If you're watching the recording and this is your first time watching the recording, I know we had a lot of people, new people sign up this week. So I just want to welcome you, first of all. We've had numerous people that have been on for every week for 12, 18 months, just consecutively every Saturday. And I like to think it's because we spend a lot of time making these as powerful as we can. This isn't just a video that you idly watch. This is we're having an experience. We're having a workshop. We're having a seminar. We're moving through exercises. These are all things that have profoundly changed my life. And I like to imagine as if we're all in the same room together and we're running through this workshop, these exercises, these thought experiments, these lessons. And that's always the intention. So I want to thank you for coming, for investing your time. I know it's Saturday. Everybody's very busy. I truly appreciate you watching this, whether it's live or recorded, to invest the time into this. I truly appreciate it. I appreciate you investing the financial aspect to it. Maybe for you is a little bit of a stretch. I tell you straight that my goal is that one session gives you way more than your money's worth. I mean, this theme that we're discussing today, this has made me, this has helped given me everything that I wanted in life, especially from a career, financial, productivity. That type of stuff has been amazing for me. And so thank you, whether you're a returner or you're new here, thank you for being here. And I know that's a big promise. That's a tall order I just said. So today's lesson is action packed. So I'd like to get right into it. So you should be able to see my screen. This allows you to not be able to toggle between browsers if this is your first time on. Now, all of the workbook, everything like that is available hereafter for you to download on your own. If you're really into it, you could print out everyone every week and then move through the exercises, actually writing them down. We know for a fact that people are more productive and they retain more information when they write things down. So I encourage you every week. I am certainly a broken record. I'm not sure I've never not said it, but I encourage you to get a workbook, journal, and you can just move through the exercises. Like I said, you could also print this out, and you could get a binder and put slide all the laminated sheets in and build some binders of this. I think you would really get a lot out of this if you did. Artemis, it's good to see you. I'm glad you got it solved, but you've been on here so long. You just feel free to write me directly. If there's ever an issue, we'll make sure you never have to miss a call. So Jack Canfield, here's a quote. He says, "Don't worry about failures. Worry about the chances you miss when you don't even try." It's amazing. This is such a cliche statement, right? It's like we've all heard it, like next to your friend's toilet in the bathroom, it's like hanging, stuff like that, right? But look at this part that I highlighted here. When you don't even try. And I feel like that's most people's problem in life. They really don't even try. They really never try to achieve their goals in life, their financial goals, their career goals, their productivity goals, their commitments to their self, their New Year's resolutions, their whatever it is. They really don't try. And part of it, I think, may be a protective mechanism. They believe they're going to fail anyways. So then you don't really even try that hard, and it becomes a subconscious way we protect ourselves. I used to do that in relationships because my parents had not a great relationship, let's just say. And so I was old enough to watch it all. And so I really associated a relationship with drama, with pain, with unnecessary. And so I would always sabotage my relationships early on until I discovered it was a subconscious protective mechanism that I was doing. People do it with their financial goals. They do it with they talk to their boss about getting a raise. They get all excited. Their boss says, here's, the most important things for you to work on. You get your goals all organized. You write them down laminate them on perfect paper with all different color ink of your pen, and it looks so great. But then we never get there. And I really think it comes down to this. And that's discipline. Not discipline in this very masculine type of raw way. But discipline in a way where you are willing to commit to yourself for the things that you truly desire and want for yourself, for your friends, for your family, whatever it is. And so the rule of 5 helped me to basically be able to break it down. Because when I dropped out of college, and I decided I was going to write my first book when I was 19, and all the publishing companies said no. I really staked my life basically on this working out. I dropped out of college, backpacked around if you don't know my story, dropped out of college, backpacked around the world, came back, wrote a book about it. No one would publish it. I thought for sure it was going to get published. There's this whole story about Louise Hay, the owner of Hay House Publishing, the big self-help thing. I went over to her house. I thought she was going to publish my book. I manifested all these awesome synchronicities for it to occur. But then she said no. She said I had to self-publish and sell. Pretty much the unanimous number I got is I had to sell 10,000 copies on my own, self-published. And, 95% of books don't sell 2,500. They don't sell 2,500. And basically I heard I had to sell 10,000. And So by the time the book came out, I was probably like 20, 21, and I didn't know anything about entrepreneurship, marketing, speaking, authoring, booking, publishing, any of that. But I knew that I didn't want to go back to school and get a job I didn't care about. I wanted to build my own destiny. And so I was trying to figure out, how do I get there really? And I came across today's topic, which is the rule of five. And I realized that was going to be the key to making it all happen. That book, I ended up selling 20,000 copies of largely out of the trunk of my car. And then that led to book deals with Penguin Random House and all this other types of stuff in my career and business and all these things. But it all started with breaking it down and showing up. And that's what the rule of five, today's theme, is all about. So everything you want is out there waiting for you to ask. Everything you want also wants you, but you have to take action to get it. I think most people take action, but they take the wrong action, right? And that's what we're going to be getting clarity around. So he said, you don't have to get it perfect. You just have to get it going. You just have to get it going. There's a Bob Marley quote, and he says, if you never start somewhere, you're never going to get nowhere. And I think that's kind of what happens, right? If you never start somewhere, you're never going to get nowhere. So the rule of five, accomplishing what we really want and doing what we say we're going to do. This is the important. Let me ask you a question. What are you saying you're going to do that you still aren't doing? Even if it's saying it to yourself, right? People have conversations in their head all day long with themselves, and they talk about these idealized versions of themselves and things they're going to do. And this is what this is about, doing what we say we're going to do. So maybe you could ask yourself, what in my life right now have I been saying I'm going to do and I still haven't done it? It might be exercise. It might be getting healthier. It might be losing some excess weight. It might be starting to get more muscle and more strength. It might be that you're looking to get out of debt, to stop using, you're financing your life with debt, and you're going to double your income, and you're going to start this new side business and develop an additional source of income on top of your job. It might be anything, right? But doing what we say we're going to do, I want you to think of one of those things, okay? Whether you're live or not live, ask yourself, what's one of those things? And I want you to write it down. What is one thing? Doing what we say we're going to do. Doing what we say we're going to do. It might be like, well, I've already work all day, and so I just haven't had time to really exercise and move my body and go to the gym or whatever it is. Well, what have you been saying you're going to do? Well, you've been telling yourself forever that you're going to wake up at 5 a.m. so you could get to the gym by 5:45 so that you could still be at work at whatever time. And you were going to start doing that every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, but you still haven't done it. I just want you to write one of those things down. If you don't have the ability to write anything down for whatever reason, this is your first time on and you didn't know, you could go grab something right now, or you could type it in the chat if you're on live to kind of declare it. Let's see. Let me know if you're with me. There's a lot to cover, so I'm just trying to make sure I move through it all. So the irony is that most people know what they need to do to improve their lives, yet they do not do it. Think about the irony of this. And think about it just personally. Think about it for yourself. The irony is that most people know what they need to do to improve their lives, yet they do not do it. They know they need to build an additional income source. They know that there's a cap on how much money they can make at their job, and it's not a forever thing, but it's great for now. They could keep that for the next 5-10 years while they simultaneously build their own dreams, an extra source of income. They know that they need to stop eating this way. They know they need to start exercising, but they don't do it. Why is this? Why do we know what we want, yet we hold ourselves back from getting it? The key is to simplify the positive actions we can take and then get them done. The trap we fall into is that when you have a goal, it's easy to feel overwhelmed with all the information that's readily available to you. The problem is if you can't decide which information to choose, it can cause analysis paralysis, decision fatigue, and even inaction on your part. If you don't know where to do, how do you begin? So this is where the rule of five comes in. And this is from Jack Canfield's book, The Success Principles. So I first came across a life-changing idea called the Rule of Five from Jack Canfield. Across the globe, his Chicken Soup for the Soul series books, Jack Canfield, if you don't know who he is, he's that guy that co-authored the Chicken Soup for the Soul series books, which have now sold over 500 million copies, been translated into 43 languages. Time magazine called it the, quote, publishing phenomena of the decade. So Jack said, though, that this book wasn't about being a publishing phenomena. It was about persistence and applying the rule of five. And he breaks it all down in his book, The Success Principles. So eventually they go to a psychic, and him and Mark Victor Hansen, who is his partner, they wanted to sell like 100 million copies of this book, but they were nobodies and no one would publish the book. And so they didn't know what to do. So they go to the psychic, and the psychic says, if you would go every day to a very large tree and take 5 swings at it with a very sharp axe, eventually, no matter how large the tree, it would have to come down. So with that advice, Canfield and Hansen created what's called the Rule of Five. And essentially what it is a commitment to taking 5 daily actions that would quickly move their goal towards completion. For Canfield and Hansen, it was a bunch of things, right? And so they made a big list of all these hypothetical things they could do, and then they would just pick 5 of them. What they actually did is they took sticky notes and they covered an entire office with different ideas. And some of them were random things like, reach out to this person, try to get on a radio show, send this person a copy of my book. But they put like thousands of them on a paper, and they would pull them off the wall and pick 5 of them to do every day. And so they were things like have 5 radio interviews every day, sending out 5 review copies to editors who would review their book, giving a seminar to at least 5 people and selling the book in the back of the room, calling 5 network marketing agencies and asking them to buy their book. So these were things they did every single day, giving 5 copies of the book to celebrities, giving a seminar to at least 5 people. They did all that. Eventually, the book went on to sell millions of copies. And the thing is that it didn't happen overnight. So this is the interesting part. It was a little over a year. It was a little closer to 18 months before the book hit the bestseller list. So it had been published, it had been out, but they snowballed this big thing, and they ended up, their books being sold in gas stations. They were the first books to ever sell in gas stations. And it's really is an incredible story. I know Jack very well personally. He has an incredible life. He's a very, very, very successful guy. And he says it came from this, excuse me. So, this is exactly how to leverage a rule of 5. So I did it for my career, and I followed a similar type of thing for him. It was like I would do farmers markets. I'd sell my books at farmers markets next to the person with kale, and I'd buy, $30 a table, and I'd stop people and I'd try to sell my book to them. So I did all those types of things, and that was how I did it. Then it evolved to publishing, publish 1 YouTube video a day, outline 3 new YouTube videos a day, build 5 new YouTube thumbnails today, whatever it was. And I would just break them down 5 a day, 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 5 a day. And it was easy to do it. And it takes the pressure out of one thing being the thing that really moves you forward. It's just, let me take a couple swings a day, like it said earlier, right? So let's see. So applying focused attention to seemingly impossible goals or dreams can lead to what some people call miracles. And this is a clip from, this is an excerpt from Canfield. So I'm going to read this real quick and then we're going to work through this. So this is an excerpt from his book. It certainly seemed to, for Andrea Fisher, after a terrible automobile accident left her comatose and without the use of her arms and legs. When Andrea woke from the coma 3 months later, her husband immediately asked for a divorce. Andrea had been a happy and successful television producer. Now her life was turned upside down. Every neurologist consulted said she was quadriplegic and never going to get any better. As soon as she understood the reality of her situation, Andrea set a monumental goal to walk out of the hospital on her own someday. Within a year, she was off the respirator. Within 3 years, she stood up next to her bed. And within 7 years, she did, in fact, walk out of that hospital on her own. How? Every day, she focused on her goal and took specific action toward achieving it. She delved into the paperwork and preparations required to allow her a diet of holistic foods in the hospital. She got regular massages and chiropractic adjustments. Even though she could not feel anything from the neck down, she knew they would be good for her body. Every day, she spent time in prayer and meditation. She expressed gratitude for each breath she took, every beat of her heart, the good things in her life, the possibilities of her future. She went to work releasing her feelings of depression, anger, fear, frustration, and other self-defeating emotions that would arise. She also visualized daily, imagining herself working out, lifting weights, walking, riding the bike, and all other physical activities that she loved. When she stood for the first time, Andrea was surprised, every medical doctor and neurologist. Later in her life, she spoke at neurological conferences, and specialists around the world studied her case. They concluded that her walking again was a miracle because there was nothing that could account for it. But to Andrea, it was no more a miracle than the fact that she could breathe or her heart could beat. That's a good one. But to Andrea, it was no more a miracle than the fact that she could breathe. She insisted she could explain every single detail of what she did to accomplish her breakthrough. Imagine what you could do if you applied the same type of focused attention to your personal goals. Maybe your goal won't take 7 years to accomplish as Andrea's did. It might take 7 months or just 7 weeks. So I'll highlight these last two here. Imagine what you could do if you applied the same kind of focused attention. I realized I couldn't even imagine what I could do. It actually, in hindsight, 10 years later, it's been far bigger than I imagined it would be. What I was able to create in my life. So imagine what you could do if you applied the same type of focused attention to your personal goals. Maybe your goal won't take 7 years to accomplish as Andrea did. It might take 7 months or just 7 weeks. Now, before we move on, I want you to imagine what you could do if you applied the same kind of focused attention to your personal goals. So I want you to write this down, but first, if you can close your eyes for a moment and just kind of imagine it. Imagine what you could do if you applied the same type of focused attention for your own goals. What could you really do? And I guess a better question is, what do you really want? And when you kind of see that, when you kind of feel that, I invite you to just kind of write it down a little bit. Just take 30 seconds here. Imagine what you could do if you applied the same kind of focused attention to your own goals. And over the last 11 years of kind of being in the personal development world, doing books and seminars and networking and meeting so many people, the industry is only so big, and being in it 11 years, you meet a lot of people. And I remember when I used to network a lot more, so many people that I would meet that had the same goals as me. They wanted to, reach and inspire, hundreds of thousands of people, whether it was writing their books, doing their art, making videos, whatever it is. Some people wanted to be coaches. Some people wanted to be authors. Such a small sliver of those types of people ever succeed at it, like actually are able to, become relatively successful at it. And I know a lot of the people that for the last 11 years, just people when I was 20 that I met at events, and a lot of them never became successful. They're doing something else now. And I think it's because a lack of focused attention. People lack the ability to focus attention on a definite chief aim. That's what Napoleon Hill calls it, a definite chief aim. They lack the focused attention. And the rule of 5 is about that. You want something that right here it says, maybe your goal won't take 7 years. Well, you want something that you care enough about that you'll stay focused on it for 7 years. Otherwise, it's probably not that important. If you're like, well, it's been 3 years, I'm over it. You probably didn't even want it that bad. So I do think that it's nice to have something that at least you still care about 7 years later, right? But it might not take that long. As it says, it might take 7 months or just 7 weeks. So focused attention. So you should have written something down that you want. You call it a chief definite aim, a big goal that is worth your focused attention. Bob Proctor talks a lot about how if you think about it just objectively, rationally, we're always trading our life away for something because there's X amount of hours in a day, right? And there's X amount of hours when we're awake in a day. And we're trading for it. We're trading our time for it. So every day, all of us are trading our time and our life away. But the question is what you're trading your life for worth it? Is what you're trading your life for worth it? And most people, the answer is honestly no. It's the old Michelangelo quote. Michelangelo used to say that the greatest tragedy in life isn't that you aim too high and miss. It's that you aim too low and you reach it. And that's kind of the ho-hum anthem for most people their whole lives. And we're breaking that, and we're going to break out of that. That's what we're doing here today. So if you're with me, give me a comment in on the side. If you're watching the recording, then we'll move right along. My 5 action steps today. So here's part of the clip from Jack Canfield's article on successprinciples.com. So he says, in my book, I refer to this daily focus as the rule of 5. I suggest making a list of 5 action steps that will improve or that will move you closer to your goal, then check them off as you complete each one of them. I write them on index cards so then I can carry them with me easy. There's I think there's 9 lines on an index card. So there's plenty of space to write them all out, and then you check them off. Be very specific in your actions. If your breakthrough goal is to achieve your ideal weight one day, one might look like this. My 5 action steps today: do morning stretches for 10 minutes, walk for 30 minutes, prepare a healthy lunch with plenty of green vegetables, go grocery shopping right after lunch so that I don't shop when I'm hungry, spend 15 minutes visualizing how it will look and feel. I'll add run a mile, right? So this is an example of what one might look like to achieve your ideal weight. One day, your rule of 5 might look like this. So small action steps are manageable, and achieving them daily keeps you motivated and your momentum strong. So whether your goal is to drop 20 pounds, run a marathon, start a business, write a book, apply the rule of 5 each day and see what miracles you can create in your life. Now, this is about an effort goal. So this becomes about a commitment to yourself as opposed to the result. You see, the goal isn't sell for Jack Canfield, sell 100 million copies. The goal was call 5 people, do this thing. So then it just becomes a commitment to yourself. It's not about the outside progress, because the outside progress is irrelevant to the process, to the commitment to the rule of 5. It has nothing to do with it. But most people reverse it. All their attention is to the outside. So then when their bank account doesn't represent what they're doing, they talk themselves out of it. When their love life doesn't represent it, they talk themselves out of it. When their career, their jobs, their financial goals, their personal goals, when they don't get there in a certain allotted time that they feel is appropriate, then they talk themselves out of it. But when you work from the rule of 5, it has nothing to do with that. It's not about the outside. So I want you to practice building your first rule of 5. So in order to get there, the first thing is knowing the goal, knowing the chief definite aim that you're going to build your first rule of 5 around. So it could have to do with health, wealth, love, career, productivity. It could be anything. So once you know what that is, then let's take a handful of minutes and let's work through this. Hopefully you can, this is why I like everyone to have notepads. But like I said, index cards are great because you can carry them and throw them away, fold them up, put them in your wallet. Okay, so you should be working on that. This certainly is work. We certainly are thinking. We certainly are writing things down, and I want you to get a first look at this. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You just write them all down. So reminder, this is like a commitment for a day, not a month. The rule of 5 is a thing we do every day or 5 days a week, whatever it is. So if you're feeling good about it, or if you work through it, or you are working through it, just let me know. Obviously, you're not in the same room as me, so I can't see how everyone's doing. But if you get a sec, let me know, or let me know. Almost done. Awesome. So this is just you getting your first experience of this, your first write through of it. Hopefully you're feeling clarity right now. Maybe just another moment, another 30 seconds or so. All right. If you're still working on it, please continue. So this should take you, whatever, 5 minutes or so a day where you just write them out. It may be sending someone an email. It could be anything. We're not claiming that these 5 things we write down are going to be the one thing that is it. It's just all we're doing is moving confidently in the direction of our dreams. I call it an effort goal. If you've got a pen and pad handy, you could write this term down, an effort goal. Just spelled out, totally normal, effort goal. Now, what I started doing was reframing what a goal was. I just punched it in the chat, an effort goal. So I started reframing what a goal was. Because if I think the goal is the outcome, and the outcome doesn't come within a timeline that I find convenient, I normally stop, right? And that goes back to the beginning, subconsciously. Maybe it's a way we protect ourselves. Maybe it's a definition of what a goal is. So if the outcome doesn't come in a time that we want, we subconsciously say, well, I'm a failure. Well, this isn't working. Well, maybe it's not meant to be, whatever it is. So if our focus is on the outcome, it's very hard to achieve great things, because if it doesn't happen within a timeline that we like, then we think the outcome's not coming. And I realized that it was a pretty self-defeating way for me to think about it, because it was a pretty daunting goal. How the hell was I going to sell 10,000 freaking books out of the trunk of my car? I printed 5,000 of them. I filled my car up with books. And then I drove up and down the West Coast, all through California and Oregon and Arizona and Washington State. And I went to everywhere, coffee shops. Like, I did open mics when people were playing music, and I would read a passage from my book. I did anything I could think of. I mean, I probably sold I would probably a lot of times sell one book. I mean, sometimes sell 0 books. But it wasn't about the outcome. It was just about being on purpose, an effort goal. It was about showing up and giving effort to myself and my life and my dreams. It was really about showing up for myself. And I just did all these different things. I'd find as many farmers markets as I could, and I'd try to go to a farmer's market most days. And then I would stop people and I'd sell my book. I'd call unity churches. I did a lot of non-secular, it's like a spiritual church. They're called unity churches. And I would try to speak at one every Sunday, where they would let me set up my books in the back, and I could do a 15-minute talk. And then I could sign and sell books. I would try to do those on Sundays. And I'd work out an arrangement with the reverends where, like, instead of paying me a lot, they'd pay me a little, and then they'd let me stay. So I had a place to sleep. And then I would try to add packages, like, let me work with your youth group. And I would try to line something up like this every single day. And then it might be send 5 emails to spiritual radio. Back then, radio was still even more popular. So there was more like, what are those called? Blog Talk Radio. Remember Blog Talk Radio? That was pretty popular still, especially in the spiritual stuff. Try to reach out to YouTube channels, anything I could think of. Do a book reading at an independent bookstore. And I had a master list of all these things. And then I would just write them down. Today, it's going to be these 5, right? So all of a sudden I chunked down this big, huge thing and I turned it into, okay, I'm going to be at this farmer's market in San Diego on Sunday. And this one's a pretty damn big one. So my goal is to talk to every single person that passes me, 100 people. Goal is to sell 40 books. A case of books was 42. So if it was a really good day, I'd sell 42 of them at some of them. And I would just chunk them down and I'd put it on the index card and I'd put it in my pocket and then I'd cross it off. All right, I got that one done. Now it's on to the next one. Oh, well, now I got to send 5 emails to 5 new publicists to see if they'll, do this, whatever it was. And it was never that daunting. It was just some days it was a couple hours, some days it was many hours, but all the time it was on purpose. Purpose, 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 purpose. So I coined this phrase, effort goals. And I want you to think about that. Having an effort goal. Having something that you care enough about that, like I said, you don't care if it takes 7 years because you care about it that much, right? Finding something that is worth trading your life for. Finding something that is worth trading your life for. And then an effort goal is a commitment to myself. So when you think about your rule of 5 like an effort goal, it becomes a lot easier to develop consistency. It's not that hard. It's just most people aren't willing to they're not willing to commit to something longer than what they think is an appropriate timeline. So they just stop on everything. That's what remember this first part? When you don't even try. It's amazing just how few people really try. It's remarkable to watch. It's like you want to feel bad because it's like because people are so self-defeating. And you can break that habit so easily and take your life to the next level just by doing the rule of 5 every day, right? I can't pop up in your house, in your living room and make you do it 3 days from now, right? It's easy to do it when we're on the call today. And it reminds me of when I took yoga teacher training and the teacher said on the last day, now your yoga practice is starting as we were ending. And what he was talking about was this was just practice, but real life, everything you learn from your yoga teacher training, real yoga is about applying it in your everyday life. And I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty deep. And it's the same thing with these calls that we do every single week this is just the little practice, but really doing our inner circle is about you the other 6.5 days of the week until our next session. That's what it's like, right? So let me know if you're with me. Let me know if you're feeling motivated, inspired, feeling good, feeling clear. We don't have to know exactly how to do anything. All we have to do is just show up long enough to life. And most people, they take the disguise of, I don't know how. I don't know exactly how to do it though. So then they just don't ever do it. And the rule of 5 just makes it so simple. All I got to do is just trud along. And then you just get hit by shit. Like awesome stuff happens. You just randomly, this mundane thing leads to something amazing. Like I'll give you an example. Two big ones. One, when I was in this process and I was doing all these Unity churches and all these things, and I was just trying to sell my first 5,000 copies of my book, I did that for, 2 years pretty much, where I was just following the same type of guerrilla marketing. I didn't even have a YouTube really. I made a couple of videos. I didn't really know how to use the internet. And through one of the people that I contacted for some little youth group. Like it was like 8-year-old kids. And so I'd make extra money at the Unity churches because I'd tack on $500 for me to do a like a youth workshop, which really just meant I played with them basically. And through one of the parents there, they knew someone that was organizing a TEDx event in California. And this was when I was in Eugene, Oregon. And they said, well, I'll put you in touch with them. And I was like, okay. Well, it ended up, then I got a TEDx talk from it. And that was like my first piece of content that, ever got any views. And then that led to all types of things that popped up out of nowhere. Another example is when I was getting ready to publish my first book with Penguin Random House. So this was my second book, my first published book. I was doing the rule of 5 for marketing and PR and reaching out to people. And I reached out to this place and I still wasn't making much money. It was pretty stressful, still reinvesting everything I was making. And someone was able to get me on Coast to Coast AM with George Noory, which is like, if you know what that is, it's, like midnight talk radio, talk about a lot of different things, sometimes very esoteric and stuff, but like 1 million listeners listen to it. And they were able to get me on, and it starts at like midnight. I was on in the middle of the night. First of all, the fact that I got on was freaking crazy. I was like 22 and like, it was amazing that I was able to land that out of nowhere. And so that's another example of like I meet someone through sending this email who connects me to this place, and then it leads to something huge. So I'm on this show. It's the middle of the night. I'm like praying to God that like something good happens. And like, because I was really stressed, I had quite a few years of reinvesting everything I was making and still not really making anything huge happen. And then the pressure of wanting my book to do good. So it's the middle of the night. I'm on Coast to Coast AM. This lady can't sleep in the middle of the night. So she hits the radio to get some static noise to put herself back to sleep. But I'm on. She hears my voice, never heard of me, thought I was interesting, wrote my name down, contacted me the next day. And it became like my first big, like 5-figure business consulting gig, speaking type of gig, workshops and stuff that I got. It happened while this lady couldn't sleep in the middle of the night after I got on an interview that I didn't even know how to get on. It was like a dream interview because it's so big. Then some lady in the middle of the night answers my prayers and randomly wakes up, hits the radio on, has enough energy to write my name down before she passes back out, contacts me the next day, and it leads to this huge, my first big like financial opportunity probably in my career. And that's the type of stuff that just happens, right? We at the down when we were reading Andrea's story, it was talking about a miracle. A miracle grows just like a tree does. The way an oak tree grows is you put the seed in the ground. The way a tomato grows is you put the seed in the ground. You would never go out a week later and be like, oh my God, there's no tomatoes yet. And then take the seed out of the ground and throw it away and be like, this seed must be broken. This must be a broken seed. But we do that with our dreams and the seeds we're planting in our life. We go, well, it's been 2 weeks and it hasn't happened yet. I guess it's not meant to be. And then we metaphorically take the seed out of the ground, throw it away, and then we go back to, we don't even try anymore. And there's some real magic when we just show up and do the little things and commit to ourselves and our goals every day. And it leads to incredible things like that. And I could go on and on and on and just talk about stories of all these crazy things like that have happened for me. Part of it's having a positive mindset. Part of it's, doing the inner work and meditating and visualizing and journaling and writing my goals down. And most people do that though. That's the easy part. Most people never show up for it though, So when you couple that with the rule of 5, you become a magnet for what you want. And it happens in very unexpected ways. You go to do a thing at a coffee shop and there's 3 people there, but one of them ends up knowing this person that introduces you to your soulmate. Like weird little things like that. But most people never show up enough to their life to invite those things in. And so today, I hope that you feel a little challenged, a little inspired, a little motivated to call those things into your life by, maybe tweaking the knob and showing up a little bit more for you, maybe in a way that you always have wanted to, but it's daunting. So I want to do a little, so first of all, let me know, how's everyone doing? Are you with me? You found today useful? If it sucks, you can tell me that too. No, just joking. I hope not. All right. So let's do a little meditation. So you guys know we covered a lot of ground today, right? You know what to do. You know what's on the table for you. It's up to you to show up for it. Let's close our eyes for a minute and just take some nice breaths in and out. And I want you to just imagine what your life could really look like. What could your life really look like? What could your life really look like? What would it look like if you really showed up for it? What type of miracles could happen for you? I shared some synchronicities, some miracles that happened for me. What could happen for you? Just imagine. What's the best that could happen? Really, what's the best that could happen? So I invite you to just take a nice deep breath in and out. Maybe put a little smile on your face. Checking in with your body. Letting go of any tension as you breathe in and out. Just seeing how you feel now versus when you hopped onto the call. Maybe you're feeling calmer, more inspired, more motivated. You can feel it, more energy in your body. Just noticing however you feel, taking a little inventory from your jaw to your toes to your fingers, seeing if there's any place you're clenching right now, and just letting it go as you breathe in and out. And just seeing if you could feel the energy in your hands. Right now, I feel the energy a lot stronger than I did before the call. Personally, after talking about all of this for 60 minutes, it certainly motivates me. And whenever you feel complete, you can just kind of flutter your eyes open and close. I got a big bright screen and film lights right in front of me, so I'm going to flutter my eyes open and close a couple times because it's very bright. And when you come back to putting a smile on your face, maybe just checking in how you feel. How are you doing? How are you feeling? Let me know in the comments how you're doing, how you're feeling. Sleepy again. So I want to thank you for coming on today. I want to thank you if this is your first time. I want to thank you for watching the recording. If you are not watching this live, I hope that I fulfilled my promise that this would hopefully be very valuable to you. And how I want to leave is I want you to write your rule of 5 for today, and I invite you to do it for the next 7 days till it becomes a habit. Just every day, you grab an index card, whatever it is, and see if you can do it for the next 7 days. If you do it for the next 7, see if you can do it for the next 14. If you could do it for the next 14, see if you could do it for the next 21. If you could do it for the next 21, see if you could do it for the rest of the year. And if you could do it for the rest of the year, some incredible things are going to happen in your life. You're going to transform your body, your mind, your finances, your happiness, your personal life in ways you can't even begin to imagine. And so hope you have had a great time today. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being here. And I'm so glad to hear that you enjoyed it. If you're watching the recording, you should be able to access all the workbooks and everything within your app. So just checking in on the comments. So thank you for coming on, Artemis, Susan, Keisha. So thank you everyone for coming on. Have an absolutely great day. I'm excited to hear about the shifts that occur, and we'll see you guys all in 6.5 days.